Town Council meeting of March 1st, 2022. If you are on Zoom, the phone number is 646-558-8656. The ID is 825-4639, 2656 #. Call the meeting to order and ask for a roll call.
Council Honan. Here. Council DeCillo.
Here.
Council Munson.
Here.
Council Belcher.
Here.
Council DeMarco. Council Flockhart.
Here.
Council Aiello.
Here.
Vice President Ruggiero.
Here.
President Lettieri.
Here.
Thank you.
Seeing we have a quorum, asked to stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Recording in progress.
I pledge allegiance
Of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Before we start the meeting, I do want to ask for a moment of reflection. We lost a couple of weeks ago a decorated World War II veteran and Korean War veteran, Delbrook Binns. And I would ask Council Flockhart to say a few words, please.
Thank you. We lost our Tuskegee Airman on February 5th when Delbrook Binns died at the age of 93. Delbrook was born in Boston and he enlisted in the service at the Fort Banks Service Center with 3 friends. He had been at the Boston Trade School when the 4 decided to join the service in 1946. He was sent to Alabama, where he joined the Tuskegee Airmen. He served through the Korean War and returned to the Boston area, where he worked as a photographer and on the Blue Line. He retired to Winthrop, where Peggy Lyons later named him the mayor of Golden Drive because he was such a help to everyone who lived there. Delbrook was active in Winthrop for many years, especially with the American Legion Post. Mr. Binns is survived by 2 married children, 3 grandchildren, a great-grandson, his sister, and many friends. In his memory, a scholarship fund has been created for a Winthrop High School student that is a child or grandchild of a veteran.
Thank you very much, Councilor. The minutes of the meeting of February 15th have been distributed. Do I have a motion to approve?
Motion.
Motion's been made by Councilor Honan, second by Councilor Fusillo. Any additions, deletions, subtractions, amendments? Seeing none, ask for a roll call vote.
Council Honan.
Yes.
Council DeCillo.
Yes.
Council Munson.
Yes.
Council Belcher.
Yes.
Council DeMarco. Council Flockhart.
Yes.
Council Aiello.
Yes.
Vice President Ruggiero.
Yes.
President Lettieri.
Yes.
Thank you.
We had scheduled a presentation on the water study that we've been waiting for several months. Due to a scheduling conflict, they are unable to be here. They were willing to call in and answer some questions, but we felt it's their obligation, and we want them here in person to do an in-depth presentation for us, for the council, and for the citizens, and for us to be able to forward and ask questions of them. So that will be set up for the next council meeting. We have 4 public hearings. The first public hearing.
Mr. President?
Yep.
Possible to comment on
Sure.
that topic? I am just deeply disappointed that yet again, we don't have a presentation of the audit and an ability to talk to them. So I wrote earlier requesting that the town manager provide a written memo clearly describing who from our town made the original request for the auditor to appear. What was the communication with the auditor that failed to allow them to attend? Or their refusal to attend? I don't know what that was.
It was not a refusal to attend. There's been several emails
I
going
want
back
the
and
facts.
forth. I
wanna see
understand.
I'd like to see the emails. I'd like to make sure there's clear communication. I'd like to make sure this doesn't happen again.
Okay.
As
The
we all
first,
know, the report, which should be posted on our front page of the website, says that we're losing $1 million a year. That's what the report says. So we can talk about all these other things we're trying to improve. It's a huge hole. We'll talk a little bit more about it in my report from the Capital Planning Committee. But we have to have this meeting in this forum as soon as possible, because it is really almost thievery to the taxpayer. It's really awful when you read that report. So if we could get a written report about all the communications and why, yet again, it has been delayed, in writing with all the attached documentation, I think we'd
You
all
can
be better
request that
for
of the
it.
town manager, that we had an original presentation set, the town canceled it because we had snow. We had a second presentation set, and they had to cancel because of traveling. This presentation was set, it was, and you could see the correspondence, I guess, when you request them, that they went back and forth. We had originally asked for them to show up at the next meeting, and there's a lack of correspondence going both ways, just finalizing that. They will be here, they intend to be here. We all want to know what's going on, if they found anything, how we could make up. We don't have a loss in terms of a net revenue loss, we have a loss in terms of water loss, which has been discussed for many years, and we are trying to get to the bottom of it. We're higher in water loss than other cities and towns, and this is one of the reasons why we did the study. You know, and we will find the answers, right? We will find what they found. So we're not trying to hide anything. I don't think they're trying to hide anything. And they will be at our next council meeting.
Okay, so at the documentation, it is.
Documentation, you can make a request to the town
I'll make a
manager
request to
for
the town manager,
documentation.
And I
Okay.
will copy the rest of the council, hopefully will be provided, as well as posting the study on the website.
Study will be posted on the website after it is presented to the council. The council should have the authority and the purview to look at that memo, discuss it, talk to them. It will be in public, and then as soon as that is done, it will be presented for everybody.
It is a public document, and it would allow more enlightened discussion in public comment period if we released it in advance. So it is a public document already.
Thank you.
Again, make the request to post it on the website.
Okay. Public hearing, first public hearing we have is town council vote to appropriate $109,841 for replacement of municipal boilers in the library and the police station. I will open the public hearing. Does everyone wish to speak as an opponent of this? I know the finance subcommittee met earlier. If you could give us a brief recap of your conclusions.
So after meeting, the finance committee came forward with a positive recommendation for the allocation of $109,841 for the replacement of municipal boilers.
Okay, and Director Calla, can you just give us some information on those boilers? They're for the library, I believe, and for the police.
In the police department.
Okay. And part of the discussion, I know, was the fact that if there is, you know, this town has talked and this council is putting it as a priority to look into public safety buildings or individual buildings or rehabbing buildings. If there, we did discuss that. I know it was discussed in finance to make sure it would be something that would be usable if part of a decision later on is to rehab that building to make sure we're not just throwing good money after bad. Is there anyone on the Zoom that would like to speak either in favor of this or against this? Is there anyone in the audience that would like to speak on this? Seeing none, I will close the public hearing and we will take it up in old business. There is a public hearing for National Grid number 305-71298, relocate one pole on Mugford Street. Is there anyone from National Grid here? Denise?
No.
No?
Yeah, no.
All right. Is there anyone else that would like to speak on this on Zoom? Anyone that would like to speak here? We will close this public hearing. There's another public hearing that we will open, number 305-29098, Hillside Crystal Cove, allowed underground service to 600 Shirley Street. And I'm expecting that there's no one here from National Grid. No one in the audience for questions, and no one on Zoom. We will close that public hearing. There is a fourth public hearing we will open for the town council to vote to increase Winthrop taxi rates from $6 to $8 for regular fares. Senior rates will go from $5 to $6, Winthrop to Winthrop. I will open that public hearing, and I will ask for Council Vice President Ruggiero to speak.
Yeah, so, last week, Rules and Ordinances met, to discuss this issue. We were joined by Mr. Sean Clune of Winthrop Taxi, and he, discussed the rationale for, this rate increase. We can get more into it, in the committee report, but we do have a positive recommendation coming out of, the Rules and Ordinances Committee to, increase the rates as Council President Lettieri had suggested, or had,
No.
yeah, you didn't suggest it, you,
Didn't suggest
Wasn't
it.
your
No.
idea.
reported.
It's not my idea.
Yeah.
Anyone else on Zoom or in person that would like to speak, positive or negative, on this topic? Yes, John.
Yes, John Morgan, Precinct 4. I attended the Rules and Ordinance meeting last Wednesday, and what I didn't bring up, which I wish I had, was the fact that the taxi drivers are responsible to pay for their own fuel. As the gas prices go higher and higher, that takes money out of their pockets. I would like to suggest to the winter residents who frequent the cab, if they could, I know there's an increase of $1 for the seniors and $2 for others. I would like to ask the residents who use the cab company, because they always give excellent service when, to every time that I've had it, and I'm only speaking for myself, and I'm sure there's others that have more positive saying. If they could, at the end of their trip, and they can afford it, give a little extra to help cover that loss for the gas. Thank you.
Thank you so much, John, for your comments. Anyone on the council have anything to add? All right, we'll close that public hearing. Public comment. Anyone in the audience? Anyone on Zoom, Denise?
No one raising their hand? Nope.
All right. Correspondence, Denise, anything?
I did not receive any this week.
Well, let's move on. Committee reports, Council Aiello. Capital assets.
We had our first capital assets meeting on February 17, 2022. We invited Steve Calla, who graciously agreed to appear and discuss with us. We did talk about the water study. It is something that I think was disturbing to the committee in an environment where we have asked people to pay more for water. I won't go into detail on it because I was hoping what we were going to be discussing in detail today. I think is more appropriate. But I do feel strongly that we've got to be as transparent with the public as we possibly can, or we're going to get a public that just is going to lose confidence in this body. We also talked a little bit about what was happening within the water department, and Mr. Calla gave us a great history lesson about the consolidation of the old separate water department and the public works department. And what happened in this town was to really collapse the number of employees by a little more than 50%, if I have the numbers correct. But just as important, we collapsed the pay rates for the employees, correct me if I'm wrong, to the lower level of pay. Water and sewer used to get a premium on their pay scale, and that pay scale disappeared, so he has folks doing water work. If I got this wrong, just correct me.
Can I correct you?
Yes, please.
So the pay rate scale is still there. It's the same pay rate scale.
Yeah.
What you got with the old water department is you got technicians that moved up and got they were all licensed. They had, their day-to-day was strictly water related, and their competency in water in all the departments. You had, the tree department had climbers, and it was different So now, what we're getting is, you have all the departments under one structure with six different grades and steps. But you're not attracting, and you're not bringing in, the pay rates aren't bringing in those craftsmen that came up through the system. So so now you have a consolidation of laborers and, a handful of craftsmen with laborers assisting.
So your ability to attract expertise has been greatly diminished, I mean, the
Very,
departments
very, very
to do that. So that was an important history lesson. I think it relates to the pay review that we're doing, but it's something I think we would encourage to be taken seriously. The other thing is we got had a brief discussion on the Phase 2 of the Winthrop Center project, which originally was Phase 1, and there's a lot of terminology issues there, but I know the previous council had rejected a potential financing mechanism for a loan for that $10 million, but what we heard was that until that project is implemented, there's a potential for heavy rainstorms, and again, correct me if I'm wrong, that could cause a backup and create havoc with the new work that we're doing in the center. And it's not something that we should sort of be, I guess, not a bit more aggressive on. Did I get that correctly?
Yes, you'll never fully realize the upgrades that we've made in the center, the capacity, and movement of water, until downstream of it is also upgraded.
Yep.
So there's still a bottleneck.
That's right. So that was something that's got about a $10 million price tag, and we need to consider that with respect to all of the other capital needs that we're going to be going through. Our next, again, we've talked about this in the past, we don't have what one would consider a modernized asset management plan, GIS systems, et cetera. That's going to be part of the IT system, investment program. Again, I think strong encouragement to see what the results of that study is going to be to make that set of investments. And at our next meeting, we intend to now get at the buildings and understand the asset condition of the buildings and all of the information management systems we have, so we can see what our liabilities are in all the existing buildings that we have in the town. To summarize, I think we have a lot of expenses ahead of us, and we just need to figure out what they are, and then the council's gonna need to figure out how to prioritize them, but not a pretty picture.
Thank you. Public health. Barbara.
The Public Safety Committee met several times since the last council meeting. On Monday, 2/14, Chief Scott Wiley gave the committee a tour of both of the firehouses. We were able to examine the deterioration of both of the antique buildings and learn about the difficulty and, in some cases, the impossibility of fitting in modern equipment and technology, the increasing problems of meeting state standards with limited space, and the incursions of water and rodents, etc. On Tuesday, 2/22, the committee met to review and compare what we learned and to discuss the feasibility of renovating the current center firehouse, replacing it at the current site or at another location, and the feasibility of combining the fire department with the police department in one facility. Our conclusion is that it is urgent that we replace the current firehouse, and we should promptly move forward with a consultant to finalize a plan to do so. We also determined that the fire department is amenable to being temporarily relocated while the current center firehouse is removed and replaced with a modern facility. On Thursday, 2/24, the committee met to review the two requests from National Grid to do work on Crystal Cove Avenue and Tufts Avenue, or we're saying here Mugford Street. It's the same job. I contacted Mr. Cameron at National Grid to ask for an updated list of their progress on removing the 98 double poles that I originally understood were the responsibility of National Grid. He had been on vacation but forwarded 2 reports to me this morning. The reports are attached to my report. The new reports clarify that 12 poles have been removed since last year, and 42 of the current 96 double poles require work by Winthrop before removal. I have forwarded this to Steve Keller. National Grid now has responsibility for 39. Given that there has been some progress during COVID, the committee is recommending that the work on both projects be approved. That'll come up in old business. At the same meeting, the committee discussed the severe backup of traffic on Saratoga Street, Main Street, when the floodgate is closed in Beachmont, causing safety concerns for emergency vehicles. It was suggested that the traffic light at Bennington Street be retimed to provide more access into Winthrop at times when the floodgate is closed, and that the flashing pedestrian light at Barnes Avenue might be timed to delay until the traffic light was red. A letter was drafted to assist our town manager in contacting, on behalf of the town, the DCR Commissioner, Senator Edwards, and Representative Turco, requesting help in this matter. I will forward that draft to the interim town manager. Respectfully submitted.
Thank you so much. Finance Committee.
So the Finance Committee met just before this meeting at 6 o'clock. There was a number of things on the agenda. Well, I'll go down the list here. So the first thing was the town council vote to appropriate $109,841 for the replacement of municipal boilers. As I mentioned before, we came up with a positive recommendation. Now going down, we had the pay and class study. From that, it was an initial amount of $50,000 being allotted to that. The committee amended that amount to $46,000 and came out with a positive recommendation. The enterprise fee study, we decided to hold in committee for another week or two until the next council meeting so that we could ask a couple more questions. And the IT plan and project management study, we decided to come out with a positive recommendation for the amount of $25,000 from the free cash allocation that came from a town council motion at I believe it was 2 town council meetings ago.
All right, thank you. Rules and Ordinance.
Yep,
President
so,
Gilio.
Rules and Ordinances met on February 23rd here in the Harvey Hearing Room. In attendance were Councilor Munson, Councilor DeMarco, myself, and Councilor Belcher in an ex officio capacity. Also, as I mentioned earlier, Mr. Clune from Winthrop Taxi was here. He was recommending the rate increase. He printed out some exhibits for us that I can share with the council if you care to take a look. They're just quotes from Lyft, one of the popular ride-sharing apps that are directly competing with taxi cab companies. And it just shows that, to get from one end of Winthrop to the other of Winthrop is around, sometimes more, sometimes a little less, but generally consistent with what the rate increase that he's requesting is. He said that these funds from the rate increase are going to cover the cost of rent. Rent at his facility went up a significant amount last year. He said that the cost to repair vehicles and the cost of goods in general went up, which is something that I'm sure we all can understand as well. And he said that the increased rate cost will go to increase, commissions and salaries for his drivers. So we had a pretty, I would say, robust discussion with him about the taxi cab industry in general. Pre-Uber and Lyft, when Winthrop Taxi first opened, there were about 1,000 rides per day, he explained to us, and now he's looking at about 300 per day. So that's an industry that's just really taken a hit as technology is expanding. So again, robust discussion, and that motion will be coming out with positive recommendations.
you. Town manager's report. The town manager is unable to attend tonight. He had given us notice. We have DPW Director Calla in his place to give a report.
Good evening, everybody. So I'd like to start with first congratulating Mr. Andy Biggio. Mr. Biggio is a United States Marine Corps veteran and the founder and president of the Boston's Wounded Veterans Run. He is one of 3 recipients being awarded by the AFCF, which is the Ahern Family Charitable Foundation's. The recipients receive the award for their years of support to the military, to veterans and their families here in Massachusetts. The award will be presented at the St. Patrick's Day Gala 2022. I'd like to take the opportunity to thank my staff, Aaron Armistead and the DPW workers who handled the storm in my absence. I think they did a valiant effort. They did a good job, and I just wanted to publicly thank them. The clock tower bid opening is on the 10th of March. FKO has moved out of the E.B. Newton space. The town manager will be moving the public health into that space. This will give the public health team an appropriate office space, which will allow them to collaborate better and more efficiently. The health department does have a grant to assist with any necessary build-out of that space. Also want to thank the public health team and inspectional services for a great job collaborating on a dangerous situation, which has made the people involved much safer. The DocuSign software has been purchased by the town. This will help streamline and track all contracts and town procedures that require signatures. Want to report that the assistant assessor has accepted another position in another community. This position is being advertised currently. The city of Quincy is still seeking a commitment for the ferry so they can start advertising. This will mean that the council will need to identify a funding source if the ferry service is something we want to pursue. There are 3 projects that will be resuming in short order once the weather permits. This is the Center Business District, final phase. The National Grid will be returning to Revere Street for the second phase of their removal of direct burial cables and installation of conduits. And the Bartlett Road water main project will be getting underway as well. First phase of that project will be the installation of the temporary water main, and we'll go from there. The outstanding trash bills need to be paid. The delinquent bills have been reissued this week and will be due March 21st, at which time interest will accrue. That completes the report.
Thank you. Any questions? Councilor Munson?
Thank you. I just wanted clarification. You said that the FKO was moving out of what building, and public safety was, public health was moving in?
The E.B. Newton building.
E.B. Newton.
Yes.
Has that already happened, or is it underway?
It's underway, yeah.
And that's a permanent change?
Permanent change, FKO will be leaving their space, and there'll be some small build-out work and some kind of shifting of the space a little bit to make it a more suitable space for the health department.
I'm sure you're filling in, so I'm not gonna bug you, but the Art Association contacted me recently and asked if I knew of anything about the gallery space that they used to be able to use for their annual art festival, and I didn't know anything. Do you know anything about?
All I can say, if it wasn't part of FKO's space, I don't think it will be affected, but I will get that answer for you.
And so that room, it's the Lyceum room, if I'm not mistaken, that the public health is going into, and that's pretty much it.
That's my understanding.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Councilor Honan?
About what percentage of the trash bills are still unpaid?
So we have sent out, there's 960 remaining delinquent. Was that your question? How many haven't been paid?
Yeah, is that like half of them, or?
No, we sent out over 6,000 bills, so.
Councilor Aiello.
Just a point of additional information regarding the ferry. Where that stands, the city of Quincy has made a request to Mass DOT for funding this year, and they're waiting for a response for that. That would ideally fill the whole financial gap, so.
Councilor Flockhart.
You said that the two projects at Center Business District and would be starting soon. When?
Well, they won't start before March 15th. That was the begin date that we gave them, that allowed the rink to close up. But it's weather dependent. I will be following up with them next week, and they should be able to commit. We should have a good, much better date, a known date by the next time we meet.
Steve, just a minor thing. It may have been corrected already, but about 2 weeks ago, it seemed like the contractor in front of CVS on the Woodside side had put signs indicating that there was no parking. It looked like the signs were transposed, maybe, but has that been corrected, or am I correct, or what happened?
I'll explain that. So the signage that's being put back into the Center Business District project, it's all by ordinance. It's what's on the books.
Okay.
I have gotten a lot of feedback from businesses in the Chamber of Commerce saying, well, you know, things have changed and the signs may not be suitable still. Unfortunately, the ordinances are still in place. And that's how the project was bid. You know, we had to put the appropriate signage back up. We can make ordinance changes to change that signage. Those arrows in front of CVS, you know, that no parking on the CVS side, those aren't in the ordinance. Those are a result of the landscape architect design, you know, narrowing down that entrance to the Center Business District. And our engineer did a turning study, and what they concluded is, if we don't regulate the size of the truck that goes into the Center Business District, if we allow 18-wheelers to go in there and make deliveries, they will be clipping cars that are parked on that side. So we don't have to put the signage up, but if we don't regulate the size of trucks going down there, we do leave ourselves open to some liability.
Just the last thing, just to follow up on Councilor Flockhart, we know when they're starting about, do we know when they're finishing?
So their end date is June 30th. That's, you know, what we've proposed to them. They claim that they'll be done before that with their contracted work. You know, we've had change orders added, which the change orders will likely carry past that, but it will not be in the limits of the CBD. It would be, you know, there's work that we added on Pauline Street, there's work that we added, you know, in several other areas up on Pleasant Street. But the immediate project that they bid on, project work, will be complete no later than June 30th.
Good, good to know. Councilor Munson.
Thank you. Since you brought it up, you said that a couple of projects were starting up, including the water main, and that on Bartlett and Pleasant?
Bartlett Road, on the, I'll call it the harbor side of Bartlett Road, from Pleasant down to Bartlett Parkway.
Okay.
That's a water main project that's already been bid and awarded, and Deep Lease Construction will be doing that job.
Oh, I see. So was that a...
It's different than the CBD project.
Right, but that is something that's just part of a ongoing timeline of repairs around the
It's a
46 miles
capital
around
improvement.
town?
Exactly, yep.
So there's no reported leak, is that correct?
There was, we have leak history, we have break history over there. Biggest problem right now is pressure over there and very poor looping of that area. So we're gonna enlarge the mains. Right now, it's called tuberculosis, and old cast iron mains reduces the capacity of those mains. It's an 8-inch main that's probably reduced to a 2-inch capacity. Mr. Aiello lives on that street, he can probably attest that the pressure isn't all that well.
There's not a lot of pressure, and there may be a leak that just started again. You know how we can always tell because of where it runs off? So it's really old, and it's It's really old. I've seen pieces of it dug up.
Well, the reason why I asked, because I just was curious if there is a timeline of water mains that are scheduled to be replaced throughout the town, or if it's more of a, like, let's take care of the leaks first, based off of, you know, a mapping of the leaks.
We do have a capital plan, a 5-year plan. And we've been committed to it, like I said in the asset
Yeah.
committee meeting. I've had a major infrastructure project, water project going on, you know, for the 15 years that I've been here, really without, no year missed. So we've been very aggressive. Yeah, well, I mean, we're looking at pressure, we're looking at water quality, we're looking at a number of things, you know, as we set out our capital plan. And priorities, sometimes, they don't change, but sometimes a bigger priority, you know, will come up that we, you know, forces us to,
Change.
you know, stick another project in before one that was slated. But we are very, very committed to it. In our lead line replacement, we've been very committed to that. And that's also helping leaks, the old lead lines that leak, and it's public health. So.
Last thing, just as a side note to that, is the meter replacement part of an ongoing year-round effort, or is that part of just a good weather effort?
No, it's year-round. Again, manpower is, you know,
Your biggest
is slowing
constraint?
that down a bit. We are down to, it's between 800 and 900 meters left. We already, we have 4,600 meters, so we've replaced the majority of them. This last group of meters is ones that we've had trouble scheduling, getting people to allow us into their homes to do it. COVID certainly didn't help. People didn't want us in during that time, even more so. But we are getting there, and meter replacement, unfortunately, it's not a one and done. We'll be doing this again, you know, as meters have a shelf life. So the meters we're putting in are a much better product. They're a mag meter as opposed to the old piston type of, you know, moving meter, which failed, and they didn't pick up on low flow, so you lost a lot of water with low flow usage. Mag meters are much more accurate, and they're plastic, and they're much more durable, but they still have a lifespan, so.
I'm learning a lot about meters, a lot more than I ever expected.
We'll learn more.
I would just wait, one last thing is if someone's giving you a hard time about putting in a new meter, is there something that you could, like, can you just put one on the sidewalk where the water pipes go, or from the sidewalk to their home?
They do have meter pits. They're expensive. They're susceptible to weather, freezing, and you know, they come with their problems. But it certainly does, you know, resolve the you know, the access to them.
Right.
Makes it much easier. But
Thank you.
and also you got to contend with utilities that are already in the sidewalks, and you got to fit them in as well.
But you do have enforcement ability to get in.
You can get an executive warrant. Yeah, you can.
You
Yeah.
can.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a government right to get in and change the meter around.
All right, so, and just to go over, you know, we talked about how aggressive we've been, and you've been as a town. We've been as a town over the past dozen years or so anyway. And it was always said, basically 75% of our pipes on the ground are now probably 80 years or older, right? And as aggressive as we've been, which obviously has an effect on water and sewer rates and everything else, how many miles of roads do we have, and how many have really been addressed? And we have been pretty aggressive.
So we got 46 miles of underground water main. Our typical projects are anywhere from, you know, 3,000 to 5,000 linear feet. So it's less than a mile. So, you know, as aggressive as you are in 12 years, you probably replaced 9 to 10 miles of main out of your 46, you know, so. That doesn't mean, you know, the rest of them are old. I mean, we've done replacements through the years, but I still think you probably have better than half of the underground pipe is well over 50 years old, so it's still cast iron.
Thank you very much for the report. Moving on to school committee report. School committee met last evening. They did report that schools are back in session after February break. The mask requirement has been lifted. there is still a significant amount of children and staff wearing masks for various reasons and just to feel more comfortable. The schools are definitely still maintaining safe practices in terms of cafeteria use and such. One of the subcommittees completed a very comprehensive list of goals for the superintendent, which was discussed with the superintendent and approved with the superintendent's cooperation and the approval of the school committee. There have been several winter athletes that have made conference teams, and I'd like to take a minute just to acknowledge them. In gymnastics, these individuals qualified for state individual meets. Brandy DeChico for all around, Mary O'Donnell for bars, Meg Zagassi for vault, and Alana Ronan for beam. In boys basketball, NEC All-Star Chris Capuccio. In girls basketball, NEC All-Conference Maddie Stiglitz. NEC All-Conference Grace. No, it's not, no, she's graduated. Farelli.
Oh.
And I apologize if I butchered the name. NEC All-Star Julia Macocchio. NEC All-Star Reese Broden. NEC All-Star Kaylee Farrell. Boys Hockey, NEC All-Conference Petey Silverman. NEC All-Conference J.D. Parker. NEC All-Star Jack Hayes. Girls Hockey, NEC Co-MVP of the league, Summer Talent. NEC All-Conference Julia Holmes. NEC All-Conference Emma Holmes. NEC All-Star Abby Holmes. NEC All-Star Mia Matucci. NEC All-Star Talia Matucci. NEC All-Star L. English. And NEC All-Star Mia Norris. We also had two coaches recognized for the conference as Coach of the Year. In girls basketball, Joe Lowe. And in girls hockey, Anthony Matucci. We do have tournament time coming up, and this week they have the first tournament games kick off tomorrow. Girls basketball is at Hamilton Wenham at 6:30. On Thursday, girls hockey is in Winthrop against Longmeadow at 6. Saturday, the 5th, boys basketball at Cathedral at 3 p.m. And also Saturday, the 5th, boys hockey in Winthrop against Rockport at 6:30. Should have been a sports announcement.
A lot of good news.
Yeah. Anyway, so good news on the school side. Old business. So, we have a motion coming out of finance that the town council vote to appropriate $109,841 in the capital stabilization fund for the replacement for municipal boilers or take any other action relative thereto. This did come out of committee, Council Fusillo, with positive recommendation.
Yes.
Pending this motion, if this motion is to pass, the balance in capital stabilization would be $3,383,861.72. This did come out of committee with positive recommendation, does not need a second. Is there any conversation on this? Councilor Aiello?
Yeah, so I only saw part of the documentation, so I may be missing something here, but one of them seemed to be to do the works but not the boiler. And when I saw the scope of work, and the other one was a rather healthy amount that included the boiler and all the works very clearly. And my question was sort of a history of whether that was competitively procured at like a $90,000 level, and a little bit on the length of the warranty that's being provided. I know it's being provided by a consultant as opposed to a contractor, so that gives me a little bit of pause about whether or not they're able to give, as a consultant, an extended warranty on their work. So just both questions. I didn't see a boiler price in the smaller amount. I saw the work to separate out the old boiler, set it aside, put the new boiler in. I didn't see a disposal of the old boiler, nor did I see a purchase price for the new boiler, but I could have missed something. but it was a small amount of money anyway, so I suspect the boilers weren't in there. And then the other one, the questions I asked.
We'll go to DPW director, because we did, this was discussed, especially in terms of the, because there was a lot of questions on the warranty and how it works. And
The warranty is what, the year warranty that you're seeing, that's the workmanship, that's what, you know, everybody, I mean, that's just what you get. The actual equipment, the components, come with their own warranty, which are a lot longer than 1 year.
Yeah, but it wasn't stated in, among boiler manufacturers and boiler types, you would get you'd get a variety of warranties. So it just wasn't clear what we were
Sure,
getting for
sure,
that.
yeah.
So I don't know if you know what the,
What the length of the warranty is on the actual furnace?
Yeah, so when we bid it, did we bid against furnaces that came with fixed warranties, and we just got the cheapest price among sort of a fixed class of boilers with a standard warranty, or was the warranty period, if we bid it, allowed to vary, and therefore we could have got a lower price but with a shorter warranty period? Just trying to understand what happened there.
Rich, he did explain it. Again, the workmanship warranty is the year, that's not gonna change. He didn't get into, you know, how long the warranty was, or if we had options on different warranties. I can certainly, you know, get that answer for you, I don't have it now.
he did explain that on a warranty, if it was like the inner workings of the boiler, the workings would be warranted. The parts would be warranted, the labor would not be warranted, but it was for an extended period of time. And he went over an example that had happened before in one of the other town-owned boilers, that the inner works went, whatever that happens to be, and, you know, the cost of the inner works, whatever it was
All the
covered
parts were
by
provided,
warranty,
yeah.
and the labor was picked up by the town.
No, I understand that
Yeah.
process, I'm just trying.
You wanna know if we can purchase a 10-year warranty as opposed, or.
Yeah, I just don't know what we're
15-year
getting, and did we have a choice among manufacturers with different warranty periods at the same price, right? And so I don't know if we explored a competitive bid or not.
The manufacturer, the equipment that is being quoted
Yeah.
is a very, very well-known product. It's, you know, he describes it as one of the best available, you know. Again, I just don't have the answer on if there's different warranty periods that can be purchased.
Yeah, I'm used to, you create a standard, and then you let boiler manufacturers bid against that. And so they're all bidding against the same thing. We want a boiler with this configuration, this capacity, and we want something that comes with I'll make it up, a 7-year warranty, right? And so that sorts a set of people out, it sorts a set of people in, and then all you're doing is getting price, and you know everybody else can do the job. You get the warranty for that amount, and you take the lowest price. That's what I'm sort of would have normally expected to happen, and I can't tell if that happened or not. Nor can I tell what the end result is. You know, I know boiler manufacturers enough to, like I know cars. There's good ones in the same brand line, and there's more heavy-duty ones in the same brand line. So.
This was a little bit different process in the sense that it's a consortium that's, I thought he said National Grid. And they come in and they evaluate the building and
They'll scope it out.
they scope it out.
So they had been an
and they develop
evaluation
the
and all that
specs.
stuff, a spec, yeah,
Yes.
I didn't see any of that documentation, I don't know if it was provided, but, you know, that would have been helpful.
Yeah,
But
it was spec'd out, and part of the cost of the project is to pay the.
Yeah, we can expect, you know, he's about $3,000 of energy savings, you know, per year. So.
Yeah, it would be helpful, listen, I'm only one counselor, but I like to see the spec, I like to see the bidding, I like to see that we got the best possible price in a clear competitive environment.
So this again doesn't require a bid process. They're allowed to, as long as the project is under $100,000, they can.
This is 109.
I
But
think
it was two separate
It's two
transactions.
separate
Two
transactions,
separate
yeah.
So delegation of authorities at 100,000, under 100,000, no competitive bid. Okay. It's close. I mean, I'm not gonna protest, but in the past, in the future, I would hope when something creeps up that close, we still use good judgment and get competition and gotta spec out to multiple vendors. Cause even if you can save $3,000, it's $3,000, you can throw something else, right? We don't have money to throw around here. We could throw it to the ferry.
Not enough.
It all adds
Putting
up.
a
It all-
birthday.
So there's a
Don't
motion,
start, don't worry.
there's a motion, has positive recommendation. Any other discussion? Not, I'll ask for a roll call vote.
Council Honan?
Yes.
Council Fusillo?
Yes.
Council Munson?
Yes.
Council Belcher?
Yes.
Council DeMarco? Council Flockhart?
Yes,
Council Aiello?
Abstain.
Vice President Ruggiero?
Yes.
President Lettieri?
Yes.
Thank you.
So the next motion is technically out of, it's one motion, but we can separate it out. It came from the town manager on the free cash allocation. The motion is that the town council vote to appropriate certified free cash as presented in the attached memo. And the items we're discussing is a pay-in-class study of $50,000. So we will take these individually, because there was some differentiation out of the committee. And if you could repeat, Council Fusillo, what the committee said on the pay-in-class study.
So under the pay and class study, we amended the amount from $50,000 to $46,000, and we came out with a positive recommendation.
And we did have representation here from the Collins Center on the call to explain in detail what they were doing, and there was a price associated to it, and I think the committee felt, why appropriate $4,000 more if you didn't have to? And it did come out with positive recommendation, does not require a second. Is there discussion on that? Council Munson?
Just wanted to clarify, this study is to review all of the funds, not just
This isn't fine.
No, this is the pay and class study.
pay-in-class
So-
pay and class study, so it's just to review
Positions.
Positions.
positions, got it. For 46,000. Okay.
It's not just department heads, this is all positions. It gives the town a good base point when they're going into negotiations. It gives us, we want to be fair to the employees, and we want to be fair to the town and the taxpayers too, so we want to make sure we're where we should be. And this is something that has been discussed for several years out of the Finance Commission, and something that, instead of just shooting from the hip, we want to have some good foundation behind us to make sure we're making appropriate decisions. Any other discussion? Ask for a roll call vote.
Council Honan?
Yes.
Council Fusillo?
Yes.
Council Munson?
Yes.
Council Belcher?
Yes.
Council DeMarco? Council Flockhart?
yes,
Council Aiello?
Yes.
Vice President Ruggiero?
Yes.
President Lettieri?
Yes. The second of the three was for the enterprise fee study, and my understanding is this is stayed in committee for
This is
another
stated in
meeting.
committee, yes.
And the third one is for the IT plan and project management. This was for $25,000. Council Fusillo?
The committee came out with a positive recommendation for $25,000.
And this also was discussed with the Collins Center, was there. This is something that the Finance Commission, I know for the past several years, again, and I believe even Council Aiello is very on board with this IT study, and that we're kind of antiquated in a lot of ways, and, this will put us in a much better position to see where we're really in arrears and what we need to do. So this also came out with positive recommendation. Any discussion on this? Seeing none, I will ask for a roll call vote.
Council Honan?
Yes.
Council Fusillo?
Yes.
Council Munson?
Yes.
Council Belcher?
Yes.
Council DeMarco? Council Flockhart?
yes,
Council Aiello?
Yes.
Vice President Ruggiero?
Yes.
President Lettieri?
Yes. Next old business item is the town council vote to increase Winthrop Viking taxi rates from $6 to $8 for regular fares, and for seniors from $5 to $6. Council Vice President Ruggiero?
Yep, so as discussed twice, and now this is the third, we passed a motion out of committee to increase the fares for Winthrop Taxi. This came out of committee unanimously. And the text of the motion is as follows: that the town council vote to amend section 5.28.130 fares of the Winthrop bylaws as such. Section A, subsection 1, change the amount for senior citizens by deleting the amount from 5 and adding in place the amount of 6. And for transportation of others, from 6 to 8. So, $1 increase for senior citizens within the town, $2 for transportation of others.
This did again come out of committee with positive recommendation. Any discussion on this? Seeing none, roll call vote, please.
Council Honan?
Yes.
Council Fusillo?
Yes.
Council Munson?
Yes.
Council Belcher?
Yes.
Council DeMarco? Council Flockhart?
Yes?
Council Aiello?
Yes.
Vice President Ruggiero?
Yes.
President Lettieri?
Yes. There are two motions here from National Grid, which, again, is the third time we've talked about these tonight. And I'll ask Council Flockhart to discuss them and give recommendations.
Both these motions came out of committee for the positive recommendation, that the town council vote to approve National Grid to install, beginning at a point approximately 110 feet east of the center line of the intersection of Hillside Avenue, Crystal Cove Avenue, and continuing approximately 18 feet in the north direction, allow underground service to 600 Shirley Street, customers installing 2 to 4 foot inches conduits from property to pole 370. Should we do them separately?
Okay, these are both coming out of commission with positive recommendations, out of committee with positive recommendations. I think we could take them together, but I'll ask DPW Director just for a quick
I just got one
clarification.
concern with the underground, is the restrictions on how they restore that pavement. All those roadways have new asphalt. Are they infrareding those patches?
Okay, I don't know. I will have to call them back.
I would certainly make that a requirement of the permit.
Okay. This came up on a previous job, and when I brought it up, they were very amenable.
Would you be more comfortable with holding off until we get total clarification?
I would like them to commit to infrared. If you're comfortable that they will, there's a cost to it, but it's a new
They did
roadway.
last time, and there was no
They
discussion.
usually do, especially if they're gonna be told they're not gonna get the permit, so.
Okay, could we?
Well, do we want to amend it? Can we amend it to include infrared and approve it as that? And then if they choose not to, then we'll have to come back.
That way they can get the vote done. I would just let them know that that's part of that's a
So if we
condition.
could just put in the record, subject to infrared replacement on the pavement. And then we could take why don't we just, since we made an amendment to that, why don't we just take this one separately? Any other discussion on this? Seeing none, ask for a roll call vote.
Sorry about
Councilor,
that. So
Vice
this is
President
This is a
Ruggiero.
vote to.
Allow National Grid,
As amended.
subject to the following condition that we
Okay.
had.
Yeah. Do we have to approve an amendment first and then?
Yeah.
Do you want?
Yeah.
Motion?
So,
So there's a second to the amendment.
Okay, second.
Councilor Flockhart made an amendment, Vice President Ruggiero seconded. On the amendment, any discussion? Seeing none. Roll call vote, please.
Council Honan?
Yes.
Council Fusillo?
Yes.
Council Munson?
Yes.
Council Belcher?
Yes.
Council DeMarco? Council Flockhart?
Yes.
Council Aiello?
Yes.
Vice President Ruggiero?
Yes.
President Lettieri?
Yes, and on the original motion as amended, roll call vote.
Council Honan?
Yes.
Council Fusillo?
Yes.
Council Munson?
Yes.
Council Belcher?
Yes.
Council DeMarco? Council Flockhart?
Yes.
Council Aiello?
Yes.
Vice President Ruggiero?
Yes.
President Lettieri?
Yes, and Council Flockhart in the second one.
That the town council vote to allow National Grid to relocate one JO pole on Mugford Street, beginning at a point approximately 10 feet northeast of the center line of the intersection of Taft Avenue and Mugford Street, and continuing approximately 100 feet in northeast direction. Relocate pole 1931 to the opposite side of the street. Install pole 1931 near 179 Strand and bring secondary wires from existing pole 1194 Taft Avenue, old pole 1931, and secondary wires will be removed when work is complete. I did drive out and view this, and this is all reasonable.
And that did come out of committee with positive recommendation.
did.
Any discussion on that? Seeing none, roll call vote, please.
Counsel Honan,
Yes.
Counsel Fusillo,
Yes.
Counsel Munson,
Yes.
Counsel Belcher,
Yes.
Counsel DeMarco, Counsel Flockhart,
Yes.
Counsel Aiello,
Yes,
Vice President Ruggiero,
Yes.
President Lettieri.
Yes. New business is a town council vote to authorize $2,290.50 in unpaid bills. We're gonna refer this to finance. And we will have another session of public comment. Anyone in the audience wish to make a comment? Ms. Chavez?
As long as somebody brought up the ferry. City of Quincy already owes us $170,000, which we have not been paid. Now, Councilor Aiello said that Quincy is now applied to DOT to pay us. Is that money going forward, or is that money that's already owed to us that they're trying to pay us? Because I believe, and I don't know if Robbie is still online, I believe the ferry is about $170,000 in the red,
It is.
which means they don't have any right to even think about opening that ferry unless we get $170,000 from somebody.
I can't imagine, you know, without without a financial commitment from someone, whether it be Quincy or DOT, that will be going forward. And I know the DOT is willing to help us out this year, but they want a plan too as to our intentions for the next three. And in good conscience, it's hard to do that if we don't know what we're doing. But I know they are working with the city of Quincy and DOT to try to come up with a solution, but it would not be a solution that's gonna put us in deficit. It wouldn't make any financial sense.
Again, I just would like to know, is that money that they're trying to negotiate with DOT, is that money that's already owed to us? Or is
That I
that
can't
money
answer.
going forward?
can I?
Yeah, Councilor
So,
Aiello.
at the last meeting, Terry described some process for the 170 that Quincy owed us. That, to me, seems separate from the money that they're seeking for this next fiscal year. So I think there are two processes going on. I'm familiar with the second one, which is to get money that's effective for this coming season. You'd have to ask the town manager when he gets back on the status of trying to get compensated for last season's activities. So there are two separate
Right.
things going on.
That's
I'm
what I
just
was
unfamiliar
thinking,
with
Joe.
the-
And when we're saying next season, you're saying this spring?
This spring.
Yeah, we're not saying next fiscal year, we're not saying July 1st, right now. Okay. Councilor Flockhart?
At the last, at our last meeting, the town manager said that we have to do this before April. So does that mean we have to do this at the next town council meeting?
We, in terms of what we're doing?
Approving whether we're moving forward with the ferry.
No, whether we're moving forward with the ferry, it wouldn't come to us unless they're asking for money. I mean, that's the town manager's discretion if the money is there. They would have to come to us if there is no money there.
Okay.
Any other public comment?
You have Kurt Millar? Oh, I'm sorry,
No, on Zoom. Kurt?
Kurt Millar?
Kurt?
Hi, hopefully you can hear me. I know there's a small issue with Zoom.
We can hear.
Kurt Millar, Precinct 2.
Are you able to hear me?
Yes.
Barely.
Oh, okay. I'm just bringing up a kind of a concern with the public parking lot that's behind First Church. I tried to look it up and see if there's been any changes with it, but there seems to be a loss of at least one space there because now there's a driveway with a sign there too saying to not block the driveway. I know sometimes parking in that back lot is pretty busy. 12 spaces, I believe, are allocated for the church alone. So I'm just wondering, I couldn't find it anywhere that there was a change in that lot at all. I don't know who that would go to, maybe to identify what change has gone on over there.
Steve?
Hi Kurt, Steve Cal, how are ya? There's been no changes, Kurt, to that parking lot?
I can't hear anything.
Can you hear me, Kurt?
No, I can't. I kinda hear very quietly.
Can you hear me now?
It's just
Well,
not, yeah.
Watch the
I
TV.
turned my TV on so I can hear it.
To answer your question, there's been no changes to the parking lot, the municipal lot. There's been no designated no parking spot for access to any of those homes. The signage may be up, but it's certainly not enforceable. And I'll look to make sure that that signage is not on public property. If it's on their fence, there's really nothing I can do about it, other than the fact that I can tell everybody that it's not enforceable. It is public municipal parking. We get similar situations with the town hall lot as well. People have access gates out to the parking lot, but there's no restrictions on those parking spots, nor will there be.
Any other questions?
Shannon Poulos?
Shannon?
You unmute, Shannon?
Hi, just a quick request. I've sent a few letters to the town council as well as made some public comments, but I realize this isn't a back and forth, but just another request, if there could be a financial update to the town council and to the townspeople in terms of where we are fiscal year to date relative to budget and where we have material variances explained. Again, I think that's a really important thing as we come up on the upcoming budget discussions. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else, Denise?
Nope, that is it.
Okay. Public relations events. We do have, well, not necessarily public relations events, but we do have committee members needed for Board of Assessors, Conservation, and Retirement. If anyone would like to apply, please visit the town website, and there would be a link to do so. All right. Does anyone have anything individually here? Start at the end. Councilor Honan.
No.
Councilor Fusillo.
Just want to wish luck to the Viking sports teams in their upcoming playoff events.
Councilor Munson.
I was just hoping to take a moment to acknowledge the loss of life in Ukraine right now, with both soldiers and innocent lives, including the elderly and children, at the hands of a Russian leader, Vladimir Putin. It just kind of makes you appreciate how good it is to be able to squabble over littler things. It makes our problems seem trite. So just thankful to be an American right now, and just give them I'm just giving my acknowledgement and support. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilor Belcher.
No.
Councilor Aiello.
Just once again, the congratulations, the impressive list of graduates from Winthrop who have made dean lists at a wide variety of colleges that were in the transcript. Just amazing to see the great work they continue to do.
Thank you. Councilor Flockhart.
There will be another meeting of the Public Safety Committee on Thursday at 6 o'clock here in the Harvey Room, and that will be to discuss the access route for Gorenfort Bank School.
Thank you. Vice President Ruggiero.
Thank you.
And I'll just have the last word, just to reiterate my thoughts on the water study that's been incredibly delayed in getting out, in getting us a presentation. This is obviously a public document. I just think it's important for us as counselors to understand it, ask questions, so once it is on the website, we could answer questions if people have them, and there will be people, including, I'm sure every one of us has an incredible amount of questions. You know, we've talked about, water and sewer a lot, and just the prices that we pay and in relation to other cities and towns throughout Massachusetts, and obviously the glaring, one thing obviously comes to infrastructure, and we do have a lot of infrastructure needs, and that increases the rate. But You know, there's always been a concern on water loss, and I was really hoping that this study was going to shed a lot of light on that. It sheds light on the facts that we know, but it doesn't really address the real need. So I am, like I'm sure everyone else, chomping at the bit to get a presentation in front of us and enabling us to ask questions and enabling us to be a little more aware and able to communicate to our constituents where we go next. So I look forward to the next meeting and look forward to hearing from them. Other than that, I have a motion to adjourn. Motion to adjourn by Councilor Aiello, second by Vice President Ruggiero. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Ayes have it. Good night.